Hey everyone, welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm here with my bestie Mandy.
And I'm here with my bestie Jessica.
So today is another one of our Convincing My Bestie to Read videos. So what are we doing today, Mandy?
Well, I'm going to report back on how much I enjoyed reading alien books. And I'm going to convince you to read a YA book.
Great. Yay!
I'm excited.
Okay, well, so before you convince me, let's talk about those alien books. You chose two, right?
I did, because I'm crazy. But before I tell you about those, we need to make sure everybody hits that subscribe button so they can get entered into our giveaway. And do you have our book we're giving away?
I do. I have it. It's right here. Hold on. Just piled it under the other stuff. So we are giving away this book here. This is Make Me Hate You by Candy Steiner. This is the Bell Book Box edition. So it is a hardcover special edition, sprayed edges from the Bell Book Box. So you cannot purchase this anywhere. And we will be giving this away to one of our subscribers when we hit 100.
And it is beautiful, that book.
It's gorgeous. It's actually, and it's signed by the author too. So there that is. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and leave us a comment so that we know who you are so that you can get entered in to our drawing. Because if your account is set at private, we can't see who you are.
Okay, so I read 2 alien books, and after that video, I'm like, why? Why did I say I would read 2? But I did. So I read Hold by Claire Kent, and this one, nobody's actually an alien in that book. They're people, and they live like out in space on different
But they're
planets.
not 100% human.
That's true, but nobody has blue rigid dicks.
Hey, don't knock it. I mean, I've never tried it, but don't knock it.
So, okay, so I read Hold. I will link the video, so if you want to go hear what it's all about, you can watch Jessica's alien romance videos. Recommendations, but I actually loved Hold. It was so good. I loved the concept of her being thrown into this pit, and it's actually really, it was almost difficult to read at times, just not because of the writing or anything, but just picturing, like when I read, I picture myself in that situation. So just to think of like that helpless feeling. And I knew that they were going to be working on escaping somehow, but I kept thinking, how? Like they're under the ocean and it's poisonous. And then, so even if they can get out of there, how do they actually leave this planet? And like, so the whole time I felt like on edge reading the book because I just was like, how are they going to get out of here? But I absolutely loved it. It was a 5-star read, Jessica.
Oh, yay! And it wasn't very long though either. It was more of a novella, right?
It was. I actually read it as part of the novella-a-thon.
Yeah.
That I
So
did.
good. Okay, so at least one, I'm sure.
Okay. And the next one was Barbarian Alien by Ruby Dixon.
Be careful.
What?
Barbarian Alien.
Okay. So it is the second book in the Ice Planet Barbarians. I read the first one. The first one was okay. I didn't like the torture from the aliens. And you're like, oh, but that's just it sets everything up. You have to keep reading. And I never did.
Right. And it's torture from the bad aliens.
Yes.
Not the good boys.
Yeah. I just didn't like that kind of thing. And like trying to picture the aliens is just, it's weird to me. So I read Barbarian Alien, which is Liz and, is it pronounced Rahash? Okay. Sorry. I don't know how to speak.
No, it's
okay. I loved when Liz, so she like tries to fight this whole thing. She feels like about the aliens like I do. So she's like, but her cootie, as they call it, starts to really resonate with him, and she's trying to fight it, and like, this line where she's like, I'm blinded by big, what was it? Blinded by a big blue alien dick. Cracked me up. So I actually did end up enjoying this book.
Good.
It's not going to be like a favorite of favorites for me, but I did enjoy it. And I probably at some point will find myself reading some more Ruby Dixon, like as that palate cleanser, as you like to say they are. But it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. A couple days ago, I was waiting for you to hop onto a video with me and you weren't quite ready. And I was like, oh, well, don't mind me. I'm just over here reading alien porn. Because that is kind of borderline what it is at times in that book.
There's plot.
There is plot. So all in all, I enjoyed my alien reads. Am I going to go back to more alien right away? Probably not, but maybe eventually.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm glad that you at least did. It wasn't like this horrible experience for you. So
no,
you know.
Okay. Are
YA.
you excited to hear about YA?
Sure. So it should be noted that I do not read YA. I mean, I probably read like 2, maybe. I tend to run from YA. So
why
you get your
is
work cut out for you? Huh?
Why is that? Why do you hate YA so much?
A lot of YA takes place in high school or in college, first of all. And I don't. No, I've been there, done that. It was a long time ago. I can't really relate. I don't normally tend to go there at all. So that's a huge part of why I don't tend to read YA. And because a lot of the indie authors that I read write adult romance or new adult, not YA. So that's pretty much why a lot of them just take place. I mean, I read a lot of YA fantasy romance. That's kind of different because they're not in high school. It's fantasy. They're typically in a different world. But yeah. So that's why, I mean, it's not my thing.
The books that I picked all focus on high school or college. I think they might all be high school. Sorry. No, one is college. But a couple of them were marked as new adult instead of YA, but I still included them here because I feel like they have that YA feel. And I don't know if new adult is just a way to try and market it so it's not so.
New adult comes after YA. But
yeah, but when they're writing about high school kids, I don't get that new adult.
I know. But here's the other thing too. Since I read like 90% of what I read is dark romance, you're not going to find that in YA. That's the other reason why I don't tend to go for YA.
That's true.
Because they're not dark.
Yeah.
So
okay, you ready for your first book?
I'm ready.
Okay, this is part of a series, so just going in, know that you're probably going to want to read the rest of the books if you pick this one because it's so good. But it's Did I Mention I Love You by Estelle Maskame. I hope I'm saying her last name correctly. This is on Audible. I know that's always important to you.
Yeah.
So this focuses on step siblings, which is why I loved it. But here's the catch with this. Is step siblings have to be done right. Like if they've been raised together since little kids, then it's kind of feels creepy a little bit or weird to me. But this is not the case. Eden's dad has basically vanished from her life for the last few years. He's remarried and now has some stepkids, and he invites her to come live with him for the summer. And so she's going to meet her new stepmom and the kids when she goes. So she agrees to go spend the summer with her dad. And when she gets there, she finds out that Tyler is a year older than her. And he's now her stepbrother. Tyler has like a lot of anger problems, which throughout the book, we kind of start to find out why. So it's not just like he's angry for no reason. He's a partier, and she kind of ends up in the same crowd as him. And he has a girlfriend who is just a manipulative biatch to him and uses that to kind of control him a lot. And so Eden and Tyler kind of start to have these feelings for each other. Some things happen. And so Eden kind of thinks like, oh, he's into me. Then she finds him with his girlfriend. And so she kind of just feels torn about like what is going on because she's like falling for him, but he's still kind of living this other life. But we know that he wants to be with Eden, but things get very complicated because they're step siblings, and her dad is not fond of Tyler at all, even though he's his stepson. And so it just kind of, there's just a lot of complications going on in this book, but the step sibling aspect is really quite cool. And basically they end up kind of faced with like, do we tear our family apart to try and have this like, you know, teenage romance type situation, or do we just need to let this go? So it's so good. There's so much going on. I absolutely loved it. Okay. My next book is Say You Swear by Megan Brandy. This is also on Audible. Okay. This is kind of a weird recommendation from me because I did not care for this book. I think you might really like it though.
Okay. I'm listening.
So Ari is in college and Mason is her brother. I do not care for Mason. He is a controlling jerk, and I don't understand how nobody questions his behavior and how he treats his sister. He acts like her dad almost. Like he's constantly there telling her what she can and can't do, and sabotages a lot of good things in her life because of I don't understand why he feels protective over her. It's weird. Okay. So if you can get past that, then you'll probably really like this book. So Chase is Mason's friend. They're like best friends, and they all go to stay at this house for the summer, or for a couple weeks, like in the summer together. And she is in love with Chase, and she thinks this is like finally her opportunity to get his attention. Things happen between the two of them, and Mason basically flips out on Chase and says, stay away from my sister, blah, blah, blah. And so it basically ruins the whole like potential of a relationship there. And she's devastated, and she ends up meeting Noah, and he's kind of there for her, and they start to form a relationship, and she confides a lot into him about her feelings for Chase, and things progress from there. There's a situation where amnesia is involved, and things get complicated pretty quickly. Dun,
okay. Dun, dun, dun. Okay.
If you read that, you have to tell me what you think of her brother, because I read reviews and I'm like, how is no one talking about, like, I feel like his behavior is borderline abusive, and I don't even know if it's borderline abusive, but I'm just like, I don't understand how no one is stepping in and saying, knock this off, but whatever.
Okay.
Okay. My next recommendation is a favorite of mine. It is on Audible. It is called Kiss Now, Lie Later. It's by C.W. Farnsworth. C.W. Farnsworth writes lots of books that are not YA. I read a really, really good one of hers. So I feel like she's a really strong author. So you don't get the YA feels from this as much as some books, but it is set in high school. So this is a high school rivalry situation of football teams. So it's kind of like where we grew up, the two, neighboring schools, but there's this big rivalry between the two of them for sports. And so football is like both towns' lives. And her twin brother, Maeve, her twin brother, is the star football player on their team. And Weston is the star football player on the neighboring team. And this is like a big to-do. Like if you don't understand football rivalries and things like that, then this book is not going to probably make sense to you. But if you do, then you will understand why it is a huge no-no for Maeve to have feelings for Weston and Weston to have feelings for her. And their like dad is a coach. I mean, like their family is football.
And we understand that because of where we grew up.
Yes. And so her and Weston start kind of this, what starts off just as a little bit of a friendship, and they really start to fall for each other. And it's how they navigate, like how they shouldn't be in a relationship, because she feels like if she is with him, she's betraying her family. And he feels like, ooh, are people going to think that I'm just using her? Is she going to think I'm just using her to try and get an inside up, And then she thinks that too, like, are people going to think that I'm just using him to try and like get information for my family, you know, and vice versa. And I know that if you don't understand this, you're going to think that's like really silly, but it's not written that way at all. It's so incredibly good. Like I loved this. And this book actually drove me to read more by this author because I love that book so much.
Okay.
Okay, my next one is A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime by Monica Murphy. It is also on Audible. This is about Rin and Crew. And I read this book a while ago and I absolutely loved it. And there's a painting that's referenced in this book, and it's actually a true painting. And if you look at the cover, it has the lipstick on it, the lipstick kisses. That's the painting, and it's a real painting, which is just kind of a fun little side fact about this book. Okay, I really enjoyed this book, but I read where a lot of people felt like Crew was kind of a chauvinist pig and looked down on girls and thought they were only good for one thing and that sort of thing. But I like a hero, if you want to call him that, who has this one-tracked mind about girls or women. And then they're in high school, by the way. And then he meets somebody who changes that feelings for him. I like that. So I was not bothered by the fact that he was a little obsessed with the fact that she was a virgin and maybe he could, you know, corrupt her and that sort of thing, because he developed some really strong feelings for her. And there's just some incredible stuff that happens in this book. But it does start off with him like being very much like, everyone thinks she's so pretty and so popular and so kind, but I know what she's really like type thing. And then when they get stuck doing an assignment together, he starts to get to know her, and his views on women and her change greatly. Okay, the next book I have for you is In the Dark by Danah Logan. Just so you know that it is a trilogy. So there's a couple more books for that one if you choose this one. It is not on Audible, but it is a really, really good read, Jessica. So this is about Lily and Reese. And Reese has been Lily's best friend. They're siblings, and he's been her best friend for as long as she can remember. And then all of a sudden, he goes away to football camp and comes back and won't talk to her. He's pretty kind of rude and mean to her, and he just completely ignores her. He never sleeps at home anymore. He just kind of couch surfs at friends' houses. Like his whole demeanor just completely changes. And their parents don't really say anything. They don't seem to be upset that he's never home, and like basically avoids their family like the plague. And Lily is like, she's heartbroken because he was like her best friend. She's super confused, and she's in the dark as to why Reese won't speak to her. And this goes on for 2 years. And finally, he decides he can't do this anymore, and he's going to come clean with what's going on. And it's nothing that I thought would happen. I was shocked. I could not stop reading. It is so good that I can't tell you. You have to read it. I can't tell you why.
Okay.
So very, very good. And I did not see it coming. Like I was totally thrown for a loop. My last book for you is not on Audible, but I really want you to read this. It's Hellbent by Karen Crompton. She's an Australian author, and she is going to be at Love in Seattle.
Okay.
I loved this book, and this book would have been on my list even if she wasn't going to be at Love in Seattle. It is a favorite of mine. So it's a 2-part series. Hellbent is the first book, and Heaven Sent is the second book. This follows Beau, and Beau is a surfer. He is a bad boy, but he takes bad boy to like a whole new level. Like in the first chapter, he's going before a judge who's like, how many times are you going to come before me? Like, this is the bad boy level he is. He drinks a lot. He gets high. He has one-night stands. And obviously he gets himself in trouble and goes to jail at times. And he's okay with like the way his life is. And there's a lot of reasons why. There's a lot of stuff that's been happening. This book does talk about suicide, and it's a pretty heavy topic in this book. So definitely like that would be a trigger to check if for this book. he meets Corey, and suddenly his life of getting drunk and getting high and having one night stands doesn't seem like that maybe wants to be his plan anymore. And this is their story. And there's a lot of stuff going on for both of them outside of their relationship. But oh, the transformation of Bo is like perfect. Like, I loved it. I am so excited to meet this author. I have just loved these 2 books.
All right. So.
Okay, what are you going to read? Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, so it's really hard. I mean, it's hard. It's really hard. I think
because you don't want to read any of them?
I didn't say that out loud. It's just the whole high school friggin' aspect is killing me. But I am in the mood for like a little bit of like Friday Night Lights stuff. So I think I'm gonna read The Kiss Now Lie Later.
Okay.
And do some football. I think that's what I'm gonna go with because it just
now the football season's over.
Now the football season's over, thank goodness. But you know, that small town and that football, those crazy, just like Friday Night Lights kind of situation, or what was the Varsity Blues? Like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what I'm gonna go with. We'll see how that works. So, obviously, like an author that's gonna be at Love in Seattle, it would be awesome. But I think I have a different one of her books down that I want to read instead.
She only has a few books out.
I know, but I do have. I mean, we both have lists of who we want to read between now and then. So, yeah. Okay, so that is it for you guys. I have 2 weeks to read this book, and then we will meet back up, and I will make Mandy read something that she doesn't want to read. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I will have more recommendations for Mandy, and we'll figure out what that is between now and then. But thank you so much for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you can get entered in to win our drawing.
And check back Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for new videos from us.
And until then,
go read.